Oh my goodness, now everybody, can you believe that it's already December? I feel like 2025 just started. And now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like time goes by super, super fast. So, anyways, today what we're going to be talking about and working on is actually the cost of kicking the solving of the money problem can down the road. And I'm bringing this up because recently I've been working with a lot of people on cash flow specifically. And money is one of these things that is super, super important because we turn our blood, sweat, tears, like effort, all of the work that we do in the world into money. And this is what allows us to essentially buy our lifestyle, to buy the things that we want, the things that we value. And we live in a culture where busy, broke, and exhausted is really kind of like the status quo. For most people, I think many of us live in a state of busy, broke, and exhausted, which is really scarcity that's gotten into all three of our primary resources. And so anyways, in today's episode, what I want to do is kind of show you how to figure out the cost of keeping a financial problem. And this, I just want to be gentle with you here, because if you have a financial problem that you've been holding on to for a while and you've been too busy to solve, this might actually like sting a little. And I want to acknowledge that, but also I want you to do something about it, right? I want you to eat food in your retirement. If you want to educate your kids, I want that for you. I want you to be able to be well resourced in all these areas of your life. And a lot of times it's seeing the total cost. It's really, really adding it up. That's the thing that helps people to like be like, oh, holy shit, this is a bigger problem than I'd kind of given it, I don't know, credit for. So anyways, let's talk about it. And so for this episode, grab a pen and a paper and I'll tell you, what to calculate, and we'll go from there. All right. So one of the first things that's evidence of and it's not always evidence of a money problem, but a lot of times it's evidence of money problem, is going to be the interest that you're paying on your consumer debts, right? Now, these are going to be your credit cards or personal loans that you've used to pay off credit cards, things like that. Generally, these kind of debts either show us that we have a lack of savings problem, or that we have a spending problem. And I'm going to just differentiate what the difference is, because they're both kind of the same if you look at it hard enough. But some people will spend on credit because they have the money to spend. I am one of these people. When I have available credit, I find it very, very difficult to not spend it. I do better with no credit cards, honestly. And that's true for a lot of people, although some people do great with credit cards. And sometimes we use credit cards to make up for the fact that we don't have money in the bank. And so this might be like, oh, I need a new dishwasher. I have to use a credit card because I don't have $1,000, right? Or I need, a car repair and I have to use the credit card because I don't have a couple $1,000s. And so I just want to differentiate the two, right? Because if you're always using your credit card for really boring things, you probably still have to cut back your spending to be able to save. But it also means that you're going to have to learn how to save and how to have money, right? And having money is its own skill. And if it's just wild spending, you're going to have to more or less break up with the credit cards, or learn to rein yourself in, or learn really how to tell the difference between your real true desires and just a basic want. So what I want you to do is pull up all of your credit card statements, your last, this is your year-end statement, and it will very likely show you the total that you've spent on interest this year. All right. And so just write that number down. If you have to go look it up, look it up. Now, for this calculation, you can leave your car payments, you can leave your mortgage payments, the interest that you paid on those kinds of things out of this. For most of us, a car payment is fine. You can be financially healthy and have a car payment, right? Your mortgage interest is a deduction. So there's that. All right. So to, put that as some of the cost of keeping your money problem. Now, if you have had this problem for a long time, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, you could be cognizant of that, and write it down. And if it's something that's brand new, or you made a really intentional purpose with a plan to pay off, then maybe you just pay the interest and you don't make it a problem. All right. Okay. So then next, let's talk about money bleeds. So a money bleed is the difference between what you want to be spending and the truth of what you are spending. So let's look at, so most of us can have a basic awareness around how much money we bleed. And this will go, it's like if you were to have the blank sheet budget and you write down all your expenses and you write down, the things that you need to buy and whatever. You can see how much money is left. And then from there, you can evaluate if that's money is going to things that you really want and you really need and you really value. And if they are, then that's not a money bleed. And if they're, if you're buying a lot of things for convenience, or if you're buying a lot of things that you don't want, you don't need, you don't want to spend the money on, then that's the money bleed. So for this, you're really going to need to make a best guess unless you want to get real specific and track all your transactions and sort it out that way, which I do recommend doing at least once a year. 3 months of tracking your money is enough to see the truth of what's really, really going on. So if you haven't done that this year, I would get a tracking software and track it all out. I like Monarch. I find it to be visually appealing, but there's plenty. Monarch's not free. Some of the other ones are free, and you can do with that what you want. All right, then we want to be looking at how much money you want to be saving versus are saving. So a lot of people want to be saving, they want to be investing more, and they're not doing it, which plays into the money bleed question. But this also lends itself to questions of under earning. So if we're under earning, if we're not asking for a raise, or we're not raising our prices, or we're undercharging, or we're over delivering, or whatever else, that sort of thing really, really adds up, and it takes a toll. So you're going to want to do your best. And listen, this is more of a psychological thing. Like, some of it is just bringing awareness to these places where we have a money problem, not necessarily, I'm like, some of these things are going to be hard to quantitate, right? Because if you're like, I know I'm undercharging, how much could I be charging if I charged all my clients, this? You could do that math if that feels good for you. But so we want to be figuring out, all right, well, this is how much I want to be saving. This is how much I want to be investing. This is how much I'm actually doing. What's the difference? Okay. And then we can start to see, is this a lack of income issue, or is this a spending issue? The next one is really about the time lost to investments, right? So the thing about, if you're going to invest your money in a stock style portfolio, like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, those things need time. And for a lot of people, though, a lot of people will stop even saving for retirement. They'll stop doing their investing as they're paying off their credit card debt. And sometimes a decade goes by. That's a really, really big deal, because the time that you lose in the market, it's not just the money that you didn't make this year, it's the doubles, right? Like, so let's just say I'm in my 80s and I don't save for retirement because I want to pay off some debt. And that's sometimes can be a fine way to do it, but a lot of times it's not the best way to do it. All right. So then let's say every 10 years, my money should double, in a decent portfolio. And that's not even like the best portfolio. That's like a little bit of a lackluster, investment style, but whatever, makes the math easy. So let's say the $10,000 I didn't save in my year 30, right? Well, that would be 20,000 by year 40, 40,000. That's right. 10, 20, 40 by year 50, 80,000 by year 60, by year 70, right? And so that's the double that you miss, right? So a lot of times when people are not saving for retirement because they're wanting to pay off their credit card debt, they say, oh, why would I put, save, or why would I pay 20% in credit card interest and then get 8% in the market? I'm like, that's a really short-term way to do it, because, 5 years goes by fast, the decade goes by fast, and all of that missed money, you miss the double. You know what I mean? Like, it's the double that you miss, not necessarily just the interest up front. So the time lost. All right. So these are how we start to calculate out, like, well, what's the cost of not having my money shit together? And we're going to look at this in terms of lifestyle when we're old. We can also look at it in terms of legacy. Are we going to be able to educate our kids if that's a priority for you? All right. And so let's talk about some of the things that get in the way. All right. So the first thing, I think the biggest reason why people kick the can down the road is a combination of busy, broken, exhausted, that cycle where everything's running ragged, and money's always the thing that you can kick down the road, right? Like, money's always the problem that you do not need to solve today. You do not need to solve it today. And that's the truth. Like, you can kick this can down the road for a decade, 2 decades, right? Like, and people do it. People have done it. It's not the best choice. Like, it's for sure not the best choice, but it's always the thing that's available that doesn't need to be immediately addressed, unless, like, you don't have money for food, right? Like, but most of the time you can carry on your life with the credit card interest, or not saving, or, there's always a reason. Oh, I'll go see my advisor when the kids get out of soccer or whatever else. So there's that. And then I think there's also a combination of, like, stress and avoidance. I think a lot of people always feel like they should be further along than they are, right? I talk to people all day about money. That comes basically out of everybody's mouth, is I feel like I should be further along right? And I think that self-judgment, that stress, that avoidance creates a situation where we just don't want to. Like we're not excited about it. I think sometimes too, also like, especially if you're setting up investments, I think sometimes meeting with a financial advisor can make us feel stupid, right? Like, especially if you meet with somebody real fancy and they use a lot of fancy words and you don't know exactly what they're talking about and they don't do a good job of explaining. I feel like sometimes those kinds of experiences weigh on us, right? Where we feel like incompetent in this way. So what do we do, really? And so listen, part of what I'm trying to hopefully like convey to you in this is that like decide. You have to make the decision. You have to decide that this is the time. And so this episode is coming to you right at the end of the year. And I would encourage you, like, get yourself amped up, ready, mentally prepared. Like, do the money tracking in December so that way in January you can really start 2026 all like fresh and clean. If you need to meet with an investment advisor, set the appointment up. Do it for early January. Get yourself set up. You know what I mean? If you have cash flow issues, come to one of my Cash Flow Queen master classes. I'll be doing them in this month. If you have a lot of money drama, maybe go see a financial therapist, right? Like, I work with clients on the mindset piece of it, but sometimes the drama really needs a real therapist. Like I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach, but so you have to kind of assess really what is it that you need. Do you just need a little support? Do you need the tracking software? Do you need to set up your invisible system? Do you need an investment advisor? If you don't need that, like what kind of support do you need? And I would really go ahead and make the moves, like do the things, because once you start adding up the cost of a money bleed, the cost of the interest that you pay, the cost of the stress, the worry in your body, your mind, the mental energy, you'll see that busy, broken, exhausted all go together. And if we're spending a ton of mental energy avoiding a money problem, that mental energy is still spent. We could have used it to solve the problem, but instead we use it to kick the can down the road. And I think that's what most of us actually do. And so we look at how much we want to be saving in these goals that we have. So anyways, the point of this was really for you to have the clarity to say, oh, holy shit, this is a problem worth solving. If there is a problem, right? If there is a problem. Now, I'm sure some of us are stacking cash and doing great, and I love that for you. And if that's going on, celebrate it. Celebrate. But anyways, the cost of kicking the can down the road. And I guess that's it. All right. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.